Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Okay. I've got a really good crowd. So just thank you all very much for joining. This is a session on growing confidence in your community. It's funny when you create a session like this and growing confidence and when you worry that nobody will come. So thanks all for being here, and I hope it'll be useful in some way to everybody. Can you please type into the chat if any expectations or questions that you have for the session, and I will try to address them either through the session or at the end or in the follow-up email afterwards. If you have anything that needs addressed straight away through the session, just raise your hand. And I would like it to be quite an interactive session. I'll be asking for a lot of feedback, so please do kind of step forward and try to interact a little bit. But it's also quite a full session, so I'll try to keep an eye on time and move it quite quickly. And from our Eden Project Communities team, we have Sam on tech and Katie in for supportive vibes, and Mo will be taking lovely visual minutes and hopefully sharing those at the end and also in the email afterwards. And these lovely people give me confidence, so thanks for being here. And okay, so I also want to let you know I have a hearing impairment and a captioner, and so there might be a delay if I am responding to you. So just know that I'm not just stumped. Okay, so if you need captions yourself, there is a public stream on seerightnow.ie, and there should be a link in the chat there. If you would like to share your group or your email, your contact information, please, you can do that in the chat box. And I will also have a survey for you to complete at the end, just to know, you know, was this useful for you? Would you like something similar? What other things would you like from Eden Project Communities? I'll share the link now, and then in case anybody has to leave early, and then I'll share it at the end as well. I am recording the session, and so you can look at it afterwards. It won't be shared publicly. It's just for use after this session. The breakout rooms are not recorded, so that's private. The session will be an hour and 30 minutes, ending at 2. Please stay on mute unless you're in the breakout rooms or unless you're feeding back. And that just means there's less sort of background noise. But I see everybody has kind of automatically gone on mute, so you must all be well versed on Zoom by now. You could maybe get a pen and paper to take notes, and if you'd like to share anything out of the breakout rooms. Okay, so this session is geared towards cultivating confidence in other people through community activity rather than growing confidence in yourself. But I think anybody who is here to try and boost their own confidence will get something out of it. And time to reflect on confidence, on what it is and how it grows. And you probably all have much more knowledge of and experience of this as me, or a lot more, but collectively we have a lot to learn from each other, and I'm just trying to facilitate all you all to kind of share what you know and ideas and ways forward. I wanted to do this session because I'm somebody who used to have no confidence at all, and now I have a little bit. I'm not the most confident person in the world, and especially not with Zoom sessions, but I do make a habit of challenging myself, and that's what I want to encourage in other people. So we will have 3 10-minute breakout rooms during the session, and some time to look at how to grow in personal confidence, community confidence, and then how to put that into action in your own community. So just to begin with, I'd like you to get a piece of paper if possible, or if you don't have one handy, just use your fingers and hold up a number 1 to 10 that says like how confident you feel generally at the minute, just to get an idea of where you're all at. So I'd be about a 6 right now, maybe a 7. Okay, so a lot of 7s and 6s, and okay, a lot of sort of in between. I think everybody has a bit of room for growth there, and that's a good thing. Okay, so so lack of self-esteem and self-confidence can feel like going through life with the brakes on. It can make things really difficult. An increase in confidence in your community can make it easier for people to connect and to be compassionate with each other and just be happier. And that's the root of all community work, really. I've done a coaching course recently, and that's been on my mind an awful lot, and hopefully I've learned something that I can share with you all. So first, I'm going to ask you to think about confidence itself, and please put your hand up to answer some of these questions. I want this to be a bit interactive. So could anybody let me know, what does confidence mean to you? What is it? What is confidence? And just Dermot, just unmute yourself, Dermot.
Whoops. Confidently is knowing that you have the ability and your own skills to promote a message, maybe for yourself or on behalf of somebody else.
Yeah, and yeah, that's exactly right. And does anybody else have another any other input? Aisling?
Yeah, hi. I think for me, confidence is also following on from what Dermot was saying. Like knowing that your past experience, you can use your past experience to contribute something. And I think we forget that we've had maybe experienced other things similar that we can use the same skills with. And I think recognizing that in ourselves is important.
Yeah, recognizing your own skills. Okay, and then another question. Sorry, so the definition that I have is it's a deep down belief that you're valuable and capable, which allows you to act courageously and take on new challenges. And it's a feeling that is cultivated within you, knowing that you're enough and that you can handle whatever outcomes occur in your life. So why do you need it, and what does it allow you to do? Could anybody else put your hand up? Angie?
It helps you deal with failure or potential failure. Helps you deal with potential failure, so you're not afraid of dealing with it.
It helps you deal with the fear of failure. That's a really good one. And anyone else? Anyone else like to put your hand up? What confidence means to you? Or if you're not on video, you can just unmute yourself. And Mary Jane? You're muted, Mary Jane.
Yeah. I think when you're working in a group, it gives you confidence because you're exchanging ideas, and you can add on to maybe an idea you've had, or you get that kind of encouragement.
Yeah.
You know, from the group, and then things can, they develop in a different way.
Yeah. Okay. And Katie?
Just say, Julianne's put in the chat the ability to communicate with people of all ages and backgrounds.
Okay, lovely. Yeah. And I would say also confidence enables you to turn thoughts into action. So, you have an idea that you want to actualize, and you're able to make it happen. Okay, and then one more question. Actually, 2 more. So how does confidence feel? Anybody want to put your hand up? Avian?
Was that how does confidence feel?
Yeah.
Just a lack of self-consciousness in putting over your ideas. You know, it's not about you, it's about what you're thinking and what you've done, and what you can share.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I've got something to add. I think confidence feels as if you don't have to justify your being there, what you're saying, and your reasons for saying what you're, or presenting what you're presenting. It's very much, you know, you don't want to seem bossy or strident or, you know, driving things through, but someone's got to take a lead.
Yes.
And you know, you can fluff about the subject of leadership and confidence. You need to be confident enough in yourself to be able to take that step.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Katie, you had your hand up.
Yes, just to read some of the lovely comments in the chat box. Julianne said, good, gives you energy, positive and proactive. And Sanjay says, confidence gives us the boost to overcome our fear and hope to be able to achieve. And Derek said, it's empowering and allows me to unlock the gifts I have for myself and my community. And Janine says, confidence for me is feeling comfortable in myself. And Monian says, having the power to make a difference.
And Dermot, you have your hand up as well? You need to unmute.
Keep forgetting, but that's good. Confidence for me is if you're working on a project with a group and the group decides to go in a different direction than what you suggested. Confident means that you don't take that as a personal attack on your view, just that it's an overall right direction to go in rather than a personal attack on your own views.
Absolutely, that sounds great. Mo, yes?
Oh, it's just really lovely to hear everybody's comments, and I'm trying to get as many of them down as possible. I just want to share that feeling confident, I don't notice it maybe at the time, but I look back and realized I was really relaxed, and that was not always the case for me. So it's really nice now to look back and think, oh, that didn't stress me out, or in the moment I wasn't like tense, I just was relaxed. I just wanted to add that as I'm writing.
That's brilliant. Okay, so another thing, I think it's really important to, when you're looking at what something is, to look at its opposite. It helps you to understand it. So the last question is, what is the opposite of confidence and how does that feel? And can anybody put your hand up?
Fear.
Joe?
Total fear, paralysis, where, I mean, public speaking for me, not a problem. Put me in front of a room of people I've never met before, I'm happy, it doesn't matter. But some people, that's an absolute terrifying prospect.
Yes, me.
To the point where it influences, sorry, Bixby, shut up, honestly. Like my phone trying to get in on the act for some reason. But basically, a friend of mine cannot give evidence in court. She can't talk in public. So that, she's a social worker, so that influences her whole career. It limits her.
Yeah.
So fear limits you.
Yeah. And Dermot, I think you had something to add as well?
Well, in my case, the lack of confidence would be a case of just my own personal experience, would be an increase in anxiety, because you do question your own skills, you do question what people value, what you want to say or do, and it just causes you to question what you. So when you go out there and you do things that builds up your confidence, and it sort of makes you feel more, for want of a better word, empowered in what you do. Not empowered as an ego trip, but empowered that you feel confident in what you're doing. So the opposite of confidence would be anxiety.
Yeah, okay. What I have put here is just feeling the fear and retreating into yourself rather than feeling the fear and doing it anyway. All those comments have been brilliant and really kind of enriched my notion of it as well. So
watermelons. Look at that watermelon, isn't that nice?
think that might be a child
Okay.
walking in.
Okay.
Not my child, just someone else's child.
So Nathaniel Brandon is a psychotherapist, and he wrote a book called The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem. And there's lots of different models, but I thought this one was quite good. I'll follow up on that a wee bit later. But basically, he says self-confidence is self-efficacy. So trust in our ability to cope with life's challenges. So for example, if I work hard enough at anything, I can make it happen well. Except, making sourdough. I don't believe I can do that. Okay, so self-respect, believing that we deserve happiness, achievement, and love. And just something that came to me that I was thinking about when I was preparing this session is I was speaking to someone and they said they don't care what anybody thinks. And I thought, oh, that's kind of, I'm not sure I believe that. So, I mean, they care enough to say that. They care enough that you think that. So I don't really think confidence is not caring what other people think. I think a truly confident person does care what people think, but they push themselves into situations that they know will stretch them out of their comfort zone and into their challenge zone. And I'll cover that a wee bit later too. Okay, so in my life, I've had a couple of key people who have given me confidence. Going back a bit, I had a teacher in school who, she just said, I had a gift as a writer, and I don't really necessarily believe that she may have said that to the entire class individually, but it was enough for me to, to fly with it, and I really wanted more of that positive reinforcement. So I have been, writing for a very long time now too. And also an older friend who was involved in a boat group asked me to take on the lead of a boat build, and said to me, "You're the person to do it, you can do it." Now, she may just have had nobody else who would do it. She may have, just said that to everybody again, but just hearing something like that, an invitation and a belief, has had a big impact on me. And this is a quote that I found from Sarah Vance, who is a coach, and this is really key for me. It isn't the absence of discomfort, but rather the presence of compassion. It isn't in the absence of discomfort, but rather in the presence of compassion that you really start to feel confidence. And I would like you all to go into breakout rooms now and just share what you're comfortable with about a person in your life or a conversation that had a really big impact on your confidence. Can you think of anybody and just share with each other what that conversation was and the impact that it had on you? So that will be a 10-minute one-to-one breakout session. Sam, are you ready to?
Yeah, just to say, a few of them might be in threes just because it's the way that it's kind of landed. Is that okay? Okay, so you should get an invitation pop up on your screen now.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you had some good conversations there. And I'd like to just take feedback from maybe 3 people, just as long as the other person is happy to, or as long as you're happy to share, just tell us about, 3 people or 3 conversations or whatever that have had an impact on your confidence. So can you put up your hand or Angie? Oh, no, just your pencil. Okay. Irene?
Yes, I was just waving my pencil, but I'm happy to talk. The one that, it was somebody who, for me, it was somebody who was good at something who actually congratulated me on doing something well. So it was praise from somebody I admired, I suppose. And what I got from Janine was that she uses artwork, people doing artwork, to give confidence to other people so they can just express themselves how they like. So I think that's a good one for me to take away.
Yeah, that's great. And could I have 2 more volunteers? Gaynor?
Hi, yeah, as our conversation really was about a negative effect on your confidence. And so it was related to whether it be a friend or a partner who constantly sort of drip feeds criticism, and that, you know, quite often it takes a long time to realize the effect that it's having on you. And even when you do realize, and that relationship or friendship is, you know, is put behind you, that you still hear that voice of criticism, and it takes a long time. You have to consciously deal with that voice. So yeah, that can be very negative and it can have a long-lasting effect.
Yeah, yeah, definitely that cumulative effect of negative feedback, and when you might already have self-doubt going on and you hear it from the outside too, it can be really damaging. And one more person. Irene, do you have your hand up? You just need to unmute yourself, Irene. 18.
Yes, there we go. Hello.
Hiya.
Hello, my name is Irene, and I come from the same part of the world as yourself. I'm from Northern Ireland, and I had a very interesting conversation with Rachel, and we talked about accessing the inner critic. And we speculated about past events in our lives where a person had treated us, had made us feel small, had made us feel humiliated. And the result of that early experience, it seemed to trigger, if we were in a situation where we felt anxious or threatened, it would trigger off the feelings of having been made to feel humiliated. I mentioned the fact that I had been seeing this lady who was a Zen therapist. And she believed in the power of unblocking the emotions around these problematic areas in our past. And the extent to which tapping on various, for example, the inner part of the hand, you know, tapping or on the head, underneath the eyes, above the mouth, onto the mouth. And as I went through a therapy session with this lady, talking about this inner critic and the power it had over me, I could feel an emotional release. So there are some powerful and to me rather mysterious, I can't begin to understand, you know, how a method like this works. But for me, it is important to access the inner critic because it can be very disabling, you know. So anyhow, I haven't been involved in a fight. Actually, that is a basal cell carcinoma, which was removed 12 days ago and was stitched up. So beware of sun. Be careful of the sun, people, okay? Thank you for listening to me. Okay, that's me over. Thank you.
Well, I hope you're better now or better soon. Yeah, I have actually experienced tapping recently, just a few months ago, and found it like really profoundly moving. Okay, so would anyone else like to add anything, or no? Evie?
So we talked about a couple of things, which I'm tapping up in the chat, but the idea that maybe, you know, you've been in a role in your life for a long time where you haven't been recognized for your ideas or, you know, your thinking self, and then suddenly you meet new friends and you begin to exercise a different role, and it's really lovely if they then endorse you for your intelligence or something that hasn't been, you feel you haven't had people see in a long time. And then also the idea in if you're in networks like this and you get an opportunity to influence a decision. You get to be at the table, maybe particularly as a woman or a Black or minority ethnic person, how, you know, it can help you step up if you realize that you influence now only if you speak, and if you don't speak, then that opportunity will have passed. You might not like the outcome, and you'll be beating yourself up afterwards about not having spoken.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah, just different ways to step up.
Okay, that's lovely. And thank you for all your input. And if you have anything you would like to add, but you're not really keen on speaking on the Zoom call, you could put it in the chat, and just for follow-up. Okay, so we are, I'm going to focus on personal confidence now, personal self-esteem, just because even though this session is more about community, I think it is really important to know how to build it inside yourself, as well as building a culture of confidence. Okay, so Nathaniel Brandon, who I mentioned before, came up with the 6 pillars of self-esteem, and they're all practicing. So they all start with the word practicing, and that's really important. Okay, so practicing living consciously, practicing self-acceptance, practicing self-responsibility, practicing self-assertiveness, practicing living purposefully, and practicing personal integrity. The reason why I said the word practicing over and over and over is because that is what it's all about. It's just it's not a one-stop magic bullet. It is a practice that you have to discipline yourself slowly and over time to incorporate these practices into your life. There is a video explainer, and I think I will just play the video because it explains things better than I can. And if the video is a bit stop and starty, you can just mute this call and watch it on YouTube. So I don't know if you're able to see my captions there as well.
Need to imagine 2 people. The first man wakes up and does his usual routine before work, and it's all a blur. He goes to work, and when he comes home, he isn't even really conscious of what he did. He starts eating the junk food he bought on his way home and watches TV while his wife tries to talk to him. Now, imagine another man. He wakes up and tells his wife how thankful he is for their life. He drives over to his business and is passionately working to build it into something great. He comes home and he and his wife have dinner together while they stay present to the moment with each other. Out of these 2 people, which one do you think is going to have higher self-esteem? The first pillar is the practice of living consciously. Lately, my hair has been thinning. What I haven't done is this. How come John's hair isn't thinning? How come John has better genetics? Oh, and did I mention that John is also 6'4"? Okay, the reason I haven't done that is because that's a game you can't win. I promise you. I don't care who you are, even John can't win that game. What I have done is what anyone who's practiced building self-esteem in their life would do, and it is this. Improve what you can change and learn to accept what you can't. Improve what you can change and learn to accept what you can't. Now, let me address a common issue. There are people who think that self-acceptance somehow goes against self-improvement. It doesn't. In fact, self-improvement can only follow self-acceptance. If I didn't accept that my hair was thinning, I wouldn't start researching what the right haircut needs to look like for me, and I would end up looking like Bobby Charlton. The second pillar is the practice of self-acceptance. I know a lot of people who are so physically unfit that it jeopardizes the most important things in their life, like their health and their relationships. And when they get confronted about it, a lot of these people have learned a little trick that has been really trending lately. Apparently, everyone I know who is unhealthy because of a medical condition. Now, let me just be clear that I'm not saying that these conditions don't exist. I'm just saying that 19 out of 20 of these people don't have it. If you do not exercise, if you do not eat healthy, you probably shouldn't be going around telling people how you're overweight and unhealthy because of a medical condition. Yeah, they might treat you like you're the victim, but guess what? The only reason they sympathize with you is because the last thing they care about is whether you're taking care of yourself or not. The third pillar is the practice of self-responsibility. I don't know of a single person who doesn't take responsibility, loves playing the victim, and also has high self-esteem. If I had a kid and I could only teach him one thing before he went to college, it would be how to stay authentic to his true self under pressure. Other than special occasions with my girlfriend where I'll have some champagne, I don't drink. I haven't found that to be something of value to my life. When I was in college, I would go out with my friends and there was always that thing of, come on, let's get drunk. And I was bad at a lot of things, but the one thing I was really good at was being really grounded in what I believed in. In fact, in almost every case, it turned into guys having respect for it and girls being attracted to it. Now again, I didn't say I sort of believed in it. It was fully standing for what I believed in, 100% unapologetic, and if that was a problem, everyone always knew I could just leave and go have fun somewhere else. I wasn't half-assing anything. The fourth pillar is the practice of self-assertiveness. Now, let me make it clear that asserting yourself doesn't mean lacking social awareness or being pushy. I didn't go to a party where I knew people would be drinking and start converting and preaching. Don't be stupid with this, it depends on the context. I'm going to act a little differently if I'm in a classroom environment than if I'm around friends. But I'm not going to go against my authentic self in either situation. If you meet an entrepreneur who is passionate about his business, and if you also meet a person who is indifferent towards his regular job, the entrepreneur will almost always have higher self-esteem. Why is that? Because the entrepreneur is the modern-day warrior. Just like the warrior has a strong sense of purpose and lives to conquer, so does the entrepreneur. He has higher self-esteem because he lives with a purpose. The fifth pillar is the practice of living purposefully. And finally, the sixth pillar, the practice of personal integrity. Notice how I said personal integrity, not someone else's integrity. I went to a military academy and there were thousands of rules I had to follow, and I broke most of them, and it didn't bother me at all or affect my self-esteem in any way because those weren't the things that went against what I believed in. But if I act against what I believe in, my inner voice will tell me how I'm worthless over and over again. And only I will know, but when it comes to self-esteem, my inner voice is the one that matters the most. You can't have the voice in your head telling you how worthless you are and build self-esteem at the same time. And these are the 6 pillars of self-esteem by Nathaniel Branden. Notice how each pillar starts with the practice of. Self-esteem is not something you build by reading a book or watching a video. It is something you build by constant practice for the rest of your life.
Okay, so some of that is not really how I might have put it, you know. So for example, the entrepreneur thing, it's not that entrepreneurs are the modern day warriors, but just maybe people who take the initiative and, you know, live, challenge themselves, that sort of thing. I am going to just put you into breakout rooms again now for 10 minutes to just chat about those terms. Hopefully they were clear enough. If not, I'm going to type into chat a little bit more information about each of those terms. You'll be in groups of 4 this time, and I will take feedback from each group, hopefully. So please, can one person in the group just take a couple of notes?
So I have, so there's some groups of 3 and some groups of 4. think there's a few more people to come, Niamh.
Okay. Is that everybody back now? Maybe. Okay, so I just want to take a little bit of feedback from each group. So hopefully those terms were clear enough. If they weren't, then in the follow-up, I will sort of consolidate what we went over. So is there anybody from group 1 who talked about living consciously? Did you have your hand up, Rachel?
Yeah, we had a great chat. Thank you to those that were in that group. We talked about being in the present and recognizing in the here and now, and recognizing our confidence in that moment. So yeah, great chat about that.
Yeah, it's a lot about living consciously is a lot about paying attention to what you consume with your senses. So you know, just paying attention to all the images and the things you're hearing, and that kind of thing. Okay, so then number 2, the self-acceptance group. Just shout out because I can't see everybody at once on my screen. Oh, Lindsay.
Hi.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, there's 3 people in our group. So we were just talking around our life basically and life experiences and how things have changed as we've grown up. So our circumstances that we've had to accept, whether it's where we lived or our accents or weight or just those kinds of things really. And I suppose, I mean, anyone else can jump in that was in my group, but I think it was just like we kind of accepted like we can't really change those things, and then it's kind of fueled maybe some work and stuff like that.
Okay, that's lovely. And so group 3, practicing self-responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wrote wee notes here, so excuse me, it looks like I'm reading. So we came up with we had a good discussion, and we come up with 6 points that we feel is important. One is self-responsibility, not to pass the buck on to anybody else. Whatever happens, the onus is on you. So you own what happens. You're accountable for your own work, and that includes the mistakes as well as everything to do go right, because there's a lot of cases, like a lot of people say, yes, I did this, but they don't want to accept when things go wrong. Another thing, responsibility is that it's allowing ideas from others. You know, if you're working in a group, now obviously you stick with your core belief, but you do have a responsibility to listen to others and integrate their ideas, as long as you don't go against what your core belief is. You take ownership of the task that you're doing. So that kind of leads back to point 1. You don't pass it on to somebody else and say they'll do it. You know, so if you're given a task to do, that's your task.
Yeah, that's great. And I would also add that, you know, knowing the limits of your responsibility, like in any interaction, you're only responsible for yourself, and all of the things that other people say, they come from their own sort of assumptions and beliefs and experience and background and other hang-ups. So actually, there's very little overlap of influence in any interaction.
We just still have 2 more points here. One was that a lot of people now expect everything for nothing. So if you want something, you have to work for it. And, you know, nothing's going to fall in your lap. It's a responsibility on you. If you want to reach that goal, you go for it. Somebody else is not going to hand it to you. And this feeds into the last point as well, which in a way contradicts it, but not really. But we felt it was possibly the most important thing. We say that if you belong to a certain minority, say like, for example, in my case, being disabled, you do have a responsibility, not just a self-responsibility, but a group responsibility, is to open the doors for people coming behind you. So you don't walk through the door and close it behind. So it doesn't mean you handing them everything that you got. Just opening the door, and giving them encouragement.
Lovely, Dermot. A lot of really brilliant points there. So then moving on to the next group, self-assertiveness. Jacqueline, did you put your hand up there?
Aisling. I put my hand up.
Oh, Aisling, yeah, okay.
I thought we had quite a good discussion about self-assertiveness. Like, it's a sense of self, but Aoife was saying it's also opposite of a people pleaser, you know, like, and not being pushed around. And so it links in a little bit to what Dermot was saying as well, because like we thought you'd have to be open-minded, but as you grow older, your opinions might change. Like we were talking about, like if you have this authentic self that you're saying, I'm never going to do that, your opinions may change as you get older or have different life experiences. And I thought Aoife brought up a really good point. Like if someone says that, for example, that they might, sorry, my daughter walked into my room and she broke my chain of thought. Just a minute today. I'll be back in 1 moment. Sorry. But like, for example, you might say to someone, I'm not going to change my mind right now, but I'd like to thank you for the information. I'll research it a bit more and see if it fits into your authentic self that the video clip was talking about. But like, also one of the other ladies was saying about like how when she's in a room, she might have a different opinion than everybody, and everyone might go, oh, here she goes again. But if she's still saying true to herself, you know, so we might have to think of the gender in the room, the crowd that we're trying to talk to. I think in a work experience that can be quite tricky, but it is about having the courage to speak your mind. And like, even though your opinion might not be right, it still makes sense to share it, you know. And everyone's always learning. So I hope that everyone, our group is happy with that. Sorry about the interruption.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so it's basically practice expression of your own wishes, needs and opinions. And then the next one, practice living purposefully. Who was in that group?
Hi, I'll shall I start? Yeah, we kind of talked about how we've gotten away without talking about the pandemic, but I'm going to bring it up. Sorry. So yeah, the current pandemic kind of does two things. One, it kind of gives us either an individual or group sense of purpose, which can be quite useful, and also it's given a lot of people space to reflect on their purpose, whether that's in their work or their personal life or in general. And then the difference between kind of short-term and long-term purposes, and how some people seem to sort of have intrinsic life purposes. So for instance, with me, I've never felt this is my life theme, this is my life purpose, but my brother has, and you know, he's sort of gone on a path that's followed that. But the idea of practicing could be useful if you don't feel that you have an intrinsic motivator or an intrinsic purpose. You know, reflecting on that and thinking about it could bring something to the surface, and that in the video, the sort of the warrior energy analogy was useful. So sort of thinking about what makes you feel like a warrior or what your warrior purpose is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
That's lovely. And yeah, Dermot has just commented on your Starship Enterprise background. Okay, so just moving on to group 6, personal integrity. Who was in that group?
There were 3 of us in the group. There was can you hear me? Yeah. There was a Gaynor. I'm sure Gaynor could talk beautifully about what we said. Go for it, Gaynor.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll just unmute there. Yes, and we had Charmaine as well, but her internet isn't very good. So we did start off actually talking about confidence and the pandemic, but then we got on to thinking about integrity in politics, because I'm involved in local politics. I said it's really important to me.
Oh my God.
That politicians have integrity, because if they behave without integrity, which occasionally happens, we might say, then it reflects badly on everybody, and it also loses trust. And when people don't have trust in their politicians, for example, they almost disenfranchise them, because they they then think, well, it's not worth me voting and taking part in politics and in the decision-making process and so on. And Irene came up with something interesting, saying about when you see those politicians on the television, are they really being true to themselves, or when they're there? And in a way they're not, because it's a lot of it is, she said, it's about image, and it's also about towing the party line quite often, that they might not 100% agree with, they quite often don't, but they have to put it forward anyway. So in a way they're not being true to themselves. And I think if you are being true to yourself and you do have that integrity, that gives you confidence in whatever it is that you're talking about.
That's really lovely. Thank you very much. Here is the YouTube link to the video, which I kind of lost confidence in about halfway through, but I think it was okay, just judging by your responses. And you did actually get everything, you know, in a very quick 6 minutes. There are loads of videos on YouTube on that topic, and I did watch through a few of them, and that was just the kind of most concise one. So yeah, it was really quick, but there's plenty that you could do to dig really deeply into each of those practices, each of those pillars. You can actually take courses that build up each one separately, but obviously we can't do that in an hour and a half. So okay, so it's all about practice, 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 and you know, keep at it. If anybody feels the need to boost confidence or to grow self-confidence, if you keep at it, eventually it will, you know, you'll get to the point where you feel different, where you feel life is a bit easier, and you know, and you're happier. Okay, so now okay, so yeah, I came across a quote from Albert Einstein, and it's, I'll read it now. The most important decision we can make is whether we believe in a friendly or hostile universe. The most important decision we can make is whether we believe in a friendly or hostile universe. I think this is really important because of the word decision. And it's not just a one-time decision either, it's a decision that you make every single day. You decide to believe that, you know, the universe is friendly, that it will back you up, that you know, things will fall into place for you. And I think that is a huge part of building confidence, and it's a practice, it's a discipline, it's something that you just remind yourself to do every day. Okay, but it would be really difficult to believe that if all of the evidence is to the contrary. So if you can build yourself up and build yourself up, but if you're getting negative messages from outside yourself all the time, or no support, it's going to be really hard to stick, and it won't stick, basically. So that's bringing me on to the kind of heart of this session, which is about community confidence. When I first read through those pillars, I just felt like tired, like, wow, that's a lot of work. If you're not feeling very confident already, you're probably going to read through them and think, yeah, it's not going to work. I don't have the ability. So that there's something missing, and that is the community around you. Okay, so confidence doesn't just come from within. In fact, with me, it definitely didn't originate within, it originated with other people. So from people around you placing confidence in you, telling you something that will create a little seed of confidence for you to grow. And you don't exist in a vacuum, and neither does your confidence. So you need to create a community for other people and find a community around you that will boost your confidence. If you hear positive reinforcement every day, eventually that will sink in. Okay, so Sarah Vance. I think I already said this quote, did I? The coach Sarah Vance, yeah, it isn't the absence of discomfort, but rather the presence of compassion that you really start to feel confidence. Okay. So then the next element of this session, there's 20 minutes left. I will have to just go over it really quickly. So it's about how you can apply past experience of of a person that put confidence into you, who placed a little seed of confidence in you, how you can use that experience, reflect on it, and use it with other people, pass it on. And I've been doing some thinking in preparation for this session about just, I have 10 points. Hopefully they are logical. So one of them is, so ways to cultivate confidence in people and their opposites as well. I think it's probably a really good thing to think about what cultivates confidence and what doesn't, what's the opposite, what can destroy it. So number one is invite. So invite a person to take on something that challenges them. Sometimes people won't take on something unless they're directly invited. For example, you know, if you're looking for speakers for a TED Talk, you might put out for like a TED conference, you might put out a call and hear nothing back. But if people are directly invited, they will step up. Even though it's challenging, it's really challenging for them. So, okay, what's the opposite of that? If someone offers and you reject them, or if you leave someone out. Okay, so then the number two is encouraging people to take healthy risks. So encouragement and make it okay to fail. An example of this is circus. My kids go to circus and they have done for years and years. And with circus, I found the culture there is just amazing. You're allowed to fail. It's part of the show. It's meant to be fun, you know, you don't take yourself very seriously in circus, and that means it's okay to fail. And circus kids do not fear ridicule. That's really important, and that's because of the culture created there. Okay, so appropriate risks as well, appropriate challenges that are just a little bit outside of your comfort zone. So I'm going to share screen again and show this image. Okay, so this image means a lot to me. So in order to grow confidence, you're going to grow your comfort zone. So if you take on too much at the one time, it's going to have the opposite effect. So if you move into this panic zone, it's I'll just maximize that. If you move into this panic zone, that may actually have a harmful impact on your confidence. So if you just stretch yourself just a little bit to the point where you're feeling exhilarated, you know, challenged, just a little bit challenged, then that grows your confidence incrementally. If you don't like to be challenged, you're going to stay here and your comfort zone will stay this size. The more you push at it, the bigger your comfort zone gets, and you know, so that makes life easier and happier. Okay, so then okay, so the opposite of that, where it's not okay to fail, that's going to have a negative impact on a person's confidence. So they won't want to take risks if it's not okay to fail. They won't want to challenge themselves. And also, if they take on a challenge that's too big, that can also be damaging. Okay, so the culture. Number three is culture. Culture of encouragement and support. So I'm actually going to use Eden Project Communities as an example here, because what I found when I first joined the network 5 years ago was just an amazing community of people who really support you and really like by default. And so number four is belief in others by default, and that is also Eden Project Communities. That's what I find with the people in this network. They just kind of seem to believe in each other, believe in each other's ideas, believe that you can do it. So I find that to be a breath of fresh air. You know, you hear a lot about naysayers and red tape, and that can all, I think the vast majority of people I've encountered in general have maybe been doubters. But once you find a community of people who are really supportive. That can make you grow hugely in confidence. Okay, so that's invitation, encouragement to take risks, culture of encouragement and support. The opposite of a culture of support would be competition, sabotaging. Competition can be healthy, but it can be damaging as well if it's too much, and if it's taken too seriously. Okay. Belief in others by default. Okay. Pardon me. So at a community camp, you go and you talk about your project idea, and just sign it kind of by default, maybe something to do with the atmosphere down at Eden. Everybody just believes that you can do it, and there's something really, really powerful about being around 60 people who totally, they're behind you and they really believe that you're going to do whatever community initiative that you have thought of, that you've dreamed of. So I remember somebody saying at the Eden camp that anybody can be amazing when all of their needs are met, and that really stuck with me. So, and one of the main needs that people have are, just belief from other people. And even if you believe in others and they fail, persist, keep persisting. Eventually they'll get there. Okay, what's the opposite of that? It's constant doubt, systemic doubt. That's going to have a really negative effect on people. Okay, so number 5 is create opportunities to grow and diversify skills. So you're going to create a sort of a wide palette of opportunities for people to stretch themselves, because something will fit, something will appeal to somebody in your community, and they will find it more appealing to take a challenge in one opportunity over another. Okay. The opposite is exclude them, or to remove them from opportunities. Okay, so make sure to leave space for people to grow. Yeah, okay, so consider how you might be unconsciously holding somebody back by doing it all. Only when you step out of the way, you leave space for people to step up. So, and they might fail first time, but maybe you did too, and they won't fail forever. So just leave space for people. And I suppose the opposite of that is just doing it all and being wanting things to go so right that you don't allow other people to take a chance and fail or succeed. Okay, so number 7 is listen deeply. I think this is really, really important. So when you really, really deeply listen to a person's spoken and unspoken needs, that's like the greatest form of respect. And it's only when somebody really feels listened to that they can properly see themselves as well and grow. And what's the opposite of that? It's just maybe not having time, not listening, silencing somebody's voice. Okay, so number 8, I'm going to try and fly through these. Number 8, discourage damaging ridicule. So especially in Northern Ireland, we have a wee bit of a culture where we take the mick, and there's this phrase, wind your neck in, and it's, I get that that's humor, it's funny, but some people are, if they're not feeling very much confidence, it can have a really bad effect on them. So I would say in our group, I would discourage damaging ridicule, because if you let it go, it can turn into bullying and create a fear culture, a risk-averse culture. Okay, number 9, offer activities that boost happiness hormones. This is a last minute addition. So I'll also share a little infographic on sort of the happiness hormones, and I think actually that came from Aisling in the first place. Is that right? No? Okay. Okay, so basically the things that you can do are offering creative outlets, creativity exercises with a single focus. So being really focused on one thing is a really important way to boost your happiness, and not be, all over the place. Physical touch, socializing, exercise, sunlight, laughter, music, meditation, they're all kind of obvious. I will send them all through again if you missed them. Number 8 was discouraging damaging ridicule. I just had a question in the chat there. Okay, so number 10 is model confidence, and model rising to challenges. So if you do it and you make it not look so easy that that nobody else could do it, make it look honest, make it honest. So share the mistakes, the challenges, the times when you were doubting yourself, but made it through. If you share the challenges, the mistakes, and the achievements, that will inspire other people. Okay, so breakout room again. So it's now we've only got 7 minutes left. So hopefully you're still able to stay a little bit. So the next bit is just to chat about how you can put this into action. So it'll be one-to-one breakout rooms this time, and I would like you to discuss one or more people in your community group who really needs a confidence boost. You don't need to. So I have a lot of information in the plan, and like a lot of even just suggested statements, things that you can say to people that will help their confidence, like some of them are a little bit cheesy, but you have to put your own stamp on that. Yeah, so hopefully you'll be able to put some of what you talked about today into action, and actually maybe focus on one person and see how that goes, about growing the confidence of one other person or many. I'd love to hear back from you if you go ahead and do that, and just about your experience through it and what you noticed. So we've covered personal confidence, community confidence, and how to put that into practice a little bit. And as I said at the beginning, lacking confidence can be like going through life without the brakes on. So I'm just inviting you all to step off the brakes and take your community for a bicycle ride. And life will seem happier and fuller, and it's practice and a habit, and mostly a community culture. And I hope you have enjoyed it. And the next session that we are having is this Friday on what, Sam, do you remember what the subject matter is?
Yeah, so it's response to resilience, and it's showing the I can't even say it, Puerto Rica film. So yeah, it's looking at that together and then having a discussion afterwards about how they built up their resilience after their disasters.
Okay, and then every other Wednesday we have a sort of an open networking session if you want more time to just chat with people or hear stories. So the next one is Wednesday 15th, and Katie will be facilitating that. So I hope to see you all soon, and I will follow up with an email to all of you with links and the whole plan of the session. So, if you're furiously trying to keep up with notes, they'll be there. So I'll see you all soon. Thank you very much.
Don't forget to save the chat.
Thank you, Neve. That was
Save
wonderful.
the chat. Thanks, Neve. That was wonderful.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. That was really good.